So imagine you're scrolling and suddenly something grabs your attention. It's a reel. The visuals are crisp, the pacing is perfect, there's dynamic cuts, there's seamless transitions, and there's good sound design. But what makes the video so good? So today I'm going to be breaking down how to make your vertical videos and reels basically unskippable for Instagram. So I'm making this because I've recently done a bunch of videos for some brands, mainly clothing brands, where we've basically displayed their clothing, their items in the form of a reel. And some of these reels are quite simple, some of them are more complex, some of them have a lot more cuts, a lot more angles. But I've sort of found a really cool formula to sort of creating these quick, snappy, engaging, scroll-stopping reels that some of the clients have actually said, yeah, these have done really well for us. So I'm going to take you through my exact formula to making scroll-stopping reels. So first off, why shoot vertical? Shooting vertical is basically shooting in a 9:16 aspect ratio. It's essential for platforms like Instagram Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. So most people actually view videos from their phones. They don't actually view it from their laptops or from their TVs anymore. Phones, as you know, they're naturally held vertical instead of horizontally. So a vertical video actually fills the whole screen of a phone, which makes it way more immersive, way more engaging than a horizontal video would. Vertical videos are actually suited more for fast-paced content. And since people scroll quickly, a full screen, eye-catching video will stop them from swiping away. But the most important thing to vertical videos is actually planning to shoot the vertical video before. So how do you shoot vertical videos properly? So first off is a tripod. Use a tripod with a hook so you can put some weight down and make sure your camera doesn't move. You actually need a way to tilt your camera vertically on the tripod. So me personally, I have a small rig camera cage. It actually has holes on the sides as well to actually mount the camera vertically. It's a very useful way. And also if you have a release plate, that makes the whole process really quick. Quick release plate is basically just a little clip that you can mount onto your camera and onto a tripod as well. The time to screw in and mount a camera in taken down from like 2 minutes to like 5 seconds. I'll definitely invest in one and I'll put a link down below to the ones that I use. So using a zoom lens actually gives you the space, the versatility that you need when shooting vertical videos. You might need to punch in and see details. You might need to zoom out and see the whole scene. Having a zoom lens is really handy. And extra brownie points if you have a macro lens or at least a macro diopter so that you can, focus in on details like rain droplets, zippers, just different elements of clothing. And then the final thing you should always have before you shoot vertical videos is having a shot list. Whenever I do vertical videos for brands or for clients, I have a standard sort of shot list and I have a more creative sort of shot list. The standard shot list basically consists of the model walking up and doing different actions to the camera whilst the camera's still. I think the key to this is having enough to work with in post, and it's really important, and I'm gonna show you why it's so important in a second. So with the more creative type of reel, I try and use a wide angle lens for this one. You can either use a gimbal or use handheld. I really like that sort of handheld look. So then at the end of the day, I have a standard reel and I have a more creative reel, and I can pick and choose, I can mix and match, and I've basically got things from different angles. And that's really important when you're trying to create scroll stopping reels. So if you are liking this, drop a like, subscribe, join the DHM. We are uploading weekly. Let me know if you like the video. I'm gonna take you through how I create the standard type of edit. Yeah, so all my footage is here. I'll just bring it into sort of DaVinci and I'll basically just scale it to be the same. I shot all of this basically vertical. The first part that I do is basically just dropping all the footage in. So I've scrolled through this and there's some clips that I actually do like, so I'll keep them. The next part is literally just snipping away. So I use the S function on the keyboard and then I use Q to actually do a quick sort of cut. My sort of criteria for this sort of standard type of reel, the standard sort of reel would just be cuts. It'll just be cuts. There won't be any sort of crazy edits done. So I'm just looking if there's moments where I can zoom in, if there's moments where I can just cut. In my mind, what I want to happen is the model walk into frame, show off a few details from the outfits, hit a couple poses, and then walk off. So I'm basically going in with that sort of mindset of how I want the clips to be arranged. So my next task is to basically just rearrange the clips for it to make sense. So the next step from here is sort of zooming in on details that I want to show off and sort of making the framing pushing towards sort of a final version. Sometimes I do overlay it to other clips, turn down the opacity just to like make sure everything is identical. So the last clip of him walking off is at least very similar to the first clip of him walking off. And then we go to the color, and the color is very, very simple. This day was actually very, very cloudy, so the clips very annoyingly have different white balances. So I had to adjust them individually. I did just use a power grade. The power grade has 5 different elements to it. The most important part being the dehancer. So if you do like the look of that, do go to dehancer.com. At checkout, use my code BXPEK. You'll get yourself 10% off. Shout out to the people at Dehancer for hooking us up with a discount. I use Dehancer all the time. So yeah, shout out to Dehancer again for hooking us up with a 10% discount. And then yeah, that's basically the clip done. You know, he walks into frame, clip, 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 turns around. Done. Easy standard edit, catches your eyes, bit fast, a bit snappy, but it catches your eyes. Now let's go to the pro edit. So on the pro edit, I am going to basically start off with the base of what we did of the standard edit, and then I sort of level it up. So I think the main thing that I do with this is sort of looking for movements. How I do this is I basically use the tracker feature in Fusion in DaVinci. I basically just add on a little point here, best match every frame, and then I click on track center. That usually does the job, and then I click track forward. This one's a really simple one because he's got a ring here, so there's some details I could focus on. For the operation, I just click on background only, and that creates this really nice tracking sort of movement. I'm going to merge this with another angle of him doing the same thing, and I'm just going to clip those 2 clips together, and it's going to be this really sort of seamless transition of him zipping up from one angle and then it flips to another angle. That's why it's so important to make sure you do have that shot list before you go out and film. I'm going to track some other clips as well, and I might add in a dynamic zoom. And then yeah, I have these sort of clips of me sort of shaking the camera around just to add some sort of cool tracking effects. So what I can do is actually use those little 2-3 frames to actually transition from one clip to another. And what I can do to connect that clip to just make it make sense, I can actually zoom in, and then also a final touch, I'll keyframe some zoom blur to make it look even more natural. And then I'm thinking at the start, what I will do, I'll add in some optical flow, which is basically fake slow motion. I don't think it'll look that good, but I think it'll just give an extra just kick into the video. I sort of like starting the videos with a bit of energy, just a little kick. Sort of final touches that I add are sort of the speed ramps, motion blur, and just blending in sort of clips together where it makes sense. If we do have a look at the final edit, here we go, walks into frame, little bit of energy, little frame, flicks, little zoom outs, and it's done. Obviously, you know, if I was taking this more seriously, I would add some sound effects in, some little whooshes, some rises, some zipper noises, some ambience. That would really sort of set this apart from other sort of reels. So in summary, it's not actually that hard to make scroll stopping reels. I make sure that the visuals are crisp and the pacing is perfect, but the most important thing is making sure that every cut feels intentional.